The sky is the limit, an iGaming digital revolution. Let's hear an industry veteran extrapolate his 5-year projections and expectations in an industry characterized by digital innovation. Mark Taffet, Mark Taffet Media.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me here. I'm a little bit different than everybody else you've heard from today. I know very little about your business, but I do know about sports, the power of live sports and live entertainment, and the ability to generate tremendous amounts of revenue from audiences who are interested in that entertainment. In the entertainment business, content is king. But in today's world, content plus iGaming is going to be a pair of aces. I'm the president of Mark Taffet Media. I specialize in advisory, planning, and consulting services and athlete management services. Among my clients are some of the biggest boxers and MMA fighters in the world. I work with Olympic athletes. I work with men and women who are winners of Sportswoman of the Year awards in the United States, in Scotland, in the UK, and in Asia. I work with the #1 boxer from Uzbekistan. I work in Kazakhstan with SBK Promotions, where combat sports and boxing are incredibly strong. I work with Oscar De La Hoya and his Golden Boy Promotions company in the United States, and Jay-Z's Rock Nation company in New York. Every one of those people is interested in your business and how they can help generate revenue for you and how they can benefit as a result. Prior to working at my own company, I spent 32 years at HBO, which revolutionized pay television back in the 1980s. 25 of those years were spent in HBO Sports, where in 1991, I wrote a business plan that launched pay-per-view for sports in the United States. From 1991 to 2015, HBO pay-per-view was the worldwide leader in event programming. We negotiated, produced, and distributed over 190 live boxing events, which generated over 56 million consumer buys, over $3.8 billion in pay-per-view revenue, and also included the single biggest night in sports history for a one-day event, Mayweather versus Pacquiao in 2015, which generated over $500 million in one night. And while we're in an industry of great technology, we, in fact, are having trouble with the light for the podium, so I'll have to use the telephone, this mobile phone, if you don't mind. From the very first event we did in 1991, Holyfield versus Foreman, the heavyweight championship fight, to the Mayweather-Pacquiao super fight in 2015, boxing became the #1 category for pay-per-view sports in the United States and around the world. MMA was big, wrestling is big, but nothing delivered like boxing. So why is all of that relevant, that history, and why is all of that relevant to you in the business today? We identified and fulfilled a need in the marketplace. In our case, improving the experience of watching big fights, which prior to HBO pay-per-view required you to get up, leave your house, go to an arena or a bar, watch inferior picture quality with virtually no sound, and have people throw food and beer and other beverages around you. What we did was use technology to allow people to stay at home, experience with family members and friends, and pay, frankly, more money for that viewing experience than they had ever paid for a viewing experience at home before. And what did we find? We found that by fulfilling that need, consumers had no problem paying tens, scores, and eventually hundreds of millions of dollars in a single night for that experience. I worked through many, many decades and many generations of change in the sports and event marketplace. We had the change in generations of fighters. People took for granted that a business started in 1 year and grew every year for 20 years thereafter. But the truth is, in our business, the event-driven business, there are peaks and valleys. We worked through the generation of Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, Mike Tyson, and Lennox Lewis in the heavyweight division, to Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, and others around the world in the welterweight division, ultimately to Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, bringing in new territories around the world, and eventually to some of the great fighters of today, Canelo, Triple G, and others. We saw the change in television screens, from small screens to large screens to home theater with surround sound. We saw the change from standard definition to mind-blowing high definition. We saw the change in technology, from cable television to satellite television to telcos on your TV to the internet on your computer, and then to the digital and social media explosion and the viewing of short-form video on your mobile devices today. And now we experience the current rage, streaming video, not only to your mobile devices, but to your televisions. And it's causing a game change in video viewing and in how people spend their money. And those changes in revenue can benefit to your business. We see that people for the past 20 years or so bought programming in record numbers by buying huge aggregates of services and paying a few $100s. But what we also learned was that in today's marketplace, consumers want what they want, when they want it. And when you give it to them, they will pay you at rates that you never imagined before. And that's what's happening. People are unbundling and removing their cable services and moving to individual programming that they choose on their devices. Sports programming is perhaps the most effective of all of that. And sports betting and sports gambling are going to yield tremendous revenues in the next few years and in the years to come. Through all those changes, the lesson is the same. You can't stop change, and you can't stop technology. To be on top and to stay on top, you've got to recognize the change, you've got to be ahead of the change, and you've got to manage the change successfully. And of course, there are obstacles. Everyone today is talking about the legislative obstacles and the bureaucracy they have to go through. But every new business goes through this. Very often change is met with regulation. Uncertainty breeds a bureaucratic process. But over time, consumers get what they want, and industries deliver to consumers what consumers want. That's always been the way it was, and that's the way it will be going forward in your business as well. And think about this. In 2015, Netflix in the marketplace was changing the way people spent their money on television. Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, started talking about building a major streaming platform. He paid $1 billion for a stake in a high-tech company owned by Major League Baseball called BAMTech. It was a little-known company, but it was the company that helped HBO launch its streaming service today. It was a bold move and a risky proposition for a company that had a huge traditional pay television business with billions of dollars in revenues and billions in profits. In 2017, recognizing that the digital technology was indeed disrupting their businesses, with cord cutting reaching accelerating pace and record rates, faster than anyone anticipated, and with live television viewing of children's programming declining like never before, did Walt Disney sit and say, what are we going to do? How are we going to work in this marketplace? They didn't ponder it. Bob Iger was a leader. He made the ground-shaking announcement that they would shift their priority overnight, their paradigm overnight, by creating ESPN+, a platform for sports, and Disney+, which would include blockbusters, movies, and eventually series program that consumers have been watching for decades. In effect, what Iger and Disney did was disrupt their own business. That takes courage. That takes incurrence of risk. But they demonstrated the incredible leadership that is necessary and the vision, which is the spirit of Bob Iger's memoir, which is, if you don't innovate, you die. Streaming has been on the rise for a decade. And last year, for the first time, The number of streaming subscribers around the world, 615 million people, exceeds the number of cable television subscribers, 556 million people. And that happened basically in about a 20-year period. And those half-lives increase in pace over time. The move by Disney, following the growth of Netflix, was the groundbreaker, and soon it's going to be coming to sports betting. Look what's happened since. Netflix is spending billions of dollars a year. Disney announced its Disney Plus service. Warner Media introduced HBO Max, in effect disrupting its own pay television business of today. Tens and then hundreds of cable networks that were created to cater to subscribers are one by one realizing declines in viewership. New giants are going to take their place in the media business, in the sports business, and right from there in the sports gambling and sports betting business. Consumers change their tastes. You cannot stop it. Technology never sleeps. And this brings us to today's marketplace and today's opportunity. Traditional pay television, which peaked in 2016 at $205 billion around the world, is forecast for the first time in the next 5 years to fall to $177 billion, and shortly thereafter to fall below 2010 levels. In 2024, just a few years from now, traditional pay television revenues will have declined in 51 major countries around the world. In the United States, revenues peaked at $106 billion in 2015. They'll be $75 billion within 4 years. Out is consumers sitting at home buying costly bundles of channels, most of which they don't watch, and dealing with the hassle of technicians coming to their house to fix their problems. In will be cheap, easy to activate, easy to cancel. Very important to note that. You must meet the consumer's need or the consumer will be canceling on a daily and an hourly basis. Digital delivery will replace existing technology, and entertainment on demand, with sports on demand, will become the new paradigm. Look at how fast the streaming services have expanded. Netflix has grown now to have 158 million subscribers worldwide. Amazon Prime Video right behind that at 100 million. Hulu at 29 million. And Disney Plus, within 4 years, is expected to have over 75 million subscribers. Global online video revenue growth is forecast to reach $129 billion in 2024, more than double the $60 billion estimated for this year. It is expected that next year, 21 countries will have over $1 billion in video streaming revenue generated, paid by consumers. The US will remain the largest market, forecast to be $50 billion by 2024, compared to just $26 billion this year. However, the US share of global video streaming revenues will decline, and it will continue to decline because technology is growing in all regions of the world, and it will feed the technology growth into video streaming. China will remain the world's largest market, or the world's second largest market, behind the United States. They'll be at $26 billion within 3 years. The UK will be the third most valuable market. And one by one, countries around the world will achieve $1 billion or more in video streaming revenue. As was said earlier, the video streaming services have more consumers today than cable television, and it's happened in a record pace. A rising number of major sporting events will be available through streaming services. Live sports is set to drive the revenue growth for global sports revenue from $48 billion today to nearly $100 billion for video streamed sports in 2024. And it is driven by the increase in direct-to-consumer product and video streaming technology. Those consumers have a word we've heard many times today: passion. I used to say in pay-per-view, the first P was for passion. In video streaming, it's all about passion. I found out in pay-per-view that the revenue per household was 10 times the amount for previous television streams. The same consumers who have the passion to pay 10 times multiples to watch video streaming and pay for it will increase their revenue and pay again 10 times when they have the opportunity for sports betting. And when you integrate sports betting into the live viewing experience, which is coming country by country, continent by continent, unimaginable and unforeseen revenues will be generated. It will change the live sports business forever. There is nothing like live sports for excitement and engagement. There's nothing like live sports to drive betting at home. For sports fans, there's nothing they're more passionate about than the outcome of their sports. And what better way to vote on the outcome and play the outcome than to be able to bet on the video that you're watching and interacting with in your living room. The combination of live sports video content, video streaming, and iGaming in one integrated experience on the consumer's video devices will change the way video is consumed forever and will change the revenue paradigm forever. It will offer a supercharged consumer experience with turbocharged consumer revenues. The existing paradigm is to provide a wagering opportunity on casino and betting platforms and have sports fans who are interested find those betting services, seek them out, find them, and then place their bets. The new paradigm, and the reason it will deliver more than 10 times the revenue per household than the pay-per-view model today, which is delivering hundreds of millions of dollars in a single night, the new paradigm will increase engagement rates and response rates because consumers will access directly the betting, and betting will access the consumers directly who are viewing the video content simultaneously. One will not have to leave the experience to find the other, and in the case of your business, you will not have to chase the consumer to find their content. You will take advantage of consumers who passionately consume their content, and you will not be asking them for more money. You will be providing for them a fulfillment of value. They will value the opportunity to express their desire for the outcome by being able to bet on it. You will give them a value added that is worth more than any money they've been paying to date for the sport. We saw it in pay-per-view. It will happen again with video streaming, live sports, and the online gaming and gambling. And believe me, those same consumers who will find online betting, they're the same consumers who will be supercharged viewers and users of your iGaming experience. And when we integrate marketing and promotion for iGaming into the experience of watching the live sports viewing, you will see those consumers not only being customers for you that night at that moment for the live sporting event, but they'll be customers for you to acquire and to retain on an ongoing basis. This will increase sports product in combat sports, not just from the current paradigm of monthly or weekly, but it will bring a tremendous increase in product that will feed daily live sport events from all around the world. My idea is to bring sports events from the most important regions of the world where your customers lie right now, to bring them the live sports that mean something to them, to employ the influencers in those live sports who are recognized as the good housekeeping seal of approval to your customers. When they see those influencers, they'll consume the product and they'll pay for it at a record pace. It's a brave new world of video streaming and iGaming. Today is the first day of our digitally revolutionized lives. It's about to be our time to shine in live sports and online gambling. And like I did in 1991 on pay-per-view, I see another game-changing revolution, this time bringing and fueling worldwide growth of video streaming revenue and bringing those customers to your business. Thank you very much. I hope to be speaking with more of you and many more of you over the next few years, and I look forward to seeing the video streaming revolution revolutionize your business. Thank you.